Hello guys, TKG is here for your comfortable LostArk life. In this video, I'd like to cover one of his class engravings of the Scrapper, as the video in my channel has some old introduction and editing, so I thought it'd be great to remake it like the recent cover videos. Now follow me, I'll show what you need. Before I start this video, one thing you need to know is that this video is based and made on KR region. In other words, some of the skills and build might be a little different with the preference of the global, as the update progression on the KR region are quite ahead than the global, so some of the skill composition, build, might be a little bit different with the global. Also, as the LostArk always try to fix the balance in the future balance patches, so some of the skills can be slightly different on the future. So watch this video with those considerations and use this video as your reference to your LostArk journey. Let's start with the most basic of this video. Class engraving I'm going to cover in this video is Chesser, also known as Taijutsu. Currently, Scrapper's identity is separated into two parts, one that using the yellow meters called Stamina and the green identity meters called Shock. Both identity meters are quite closely related on the skill usage, but for more clear explanations, yellow meter, stamina skills mostly used by the Taijutsu Scrappers, green identity meters usually used on the shock training Scrappers. So our Scrappers on this video will going to use the stamina skills on the skill calculations. When the identity meter is active, it will renew the evade skill cooldown. During the activation, movement skill cooldown will be reduced to half, increase the stagger 20%. Additionally, for the ultimate skill Taijutsu, it will give you a push immune. For the shock training, it will decrease the uptime and increase the attack speed 20%. Currently, Scrapper, especially Taijutsu, has quite variation on the build. But as I keep mentioning on the other videos, I can't show all of the variation on this one video. So I will show the most representative build on the Taijutsu Scrappers. Right now, the Scrapper can utilize two combinations of the combat stat, using the swiftness as a main combat stat and making the variation with some different critical stat, like slightly lowering the swift stat by replacing some accessories. Recommended stat combination can be summarized like this text box. For more simple explanations, the more critical stat you have, the more efficiency comes from the entropy and the Kimball weapon engraving, but it will decrease the efficiency of the adrenals. On the other hand, in more swift stat, raid captain efficiency and better cooldown will be followed on your build. Engraving build of the Scrapper has a small variation to choose from, but first, Grudge, Ambush Master, and the class engraving are fixed to use. Well, for small explanation, Grudge is an essential engravings which can give you about 20% efficiency without any condition. Ambush Master is mandatory because there's no gear set that replaces the entropy set for the Scrapper, so there's no argue with that. Class engraving is for the stable supply. Some of the guys sometimes ask about, what about the level 1? Well, actually the level 1 is not that recommended to use because it might affect a stable identity supply. And for the empty engravings, you have the option from the Raid Captain, Crystal, Kimball Weapon, Adrenals. So you can upgrade your engraving step by step like this text box for better efficiency. And you might be thinking, why Raid Captain on the half critical swiftness? Well, gotta be clear, for the half to half build with the pet effect, you'll have about 1200 swift stat, so in more short, you'll have about 20% self movement speed. And with the support yearning level 3 effect, you'll have about 16 to 17% efficiency with the Raid Captain. With some wine or stronghold fist, you can have about 17%. So in more short, if you are bothered about eating stronghold fist, do the Crystal. If you don't mind that much, do the Raid Captain. For the different mixture on the combat stat build, engraving build can be followed like this. Well, actually, I did a lot of comment about the engraving build, but I gotta be honest, your combat stat build can be different with your playstyle, bracelet, elixir. So try to do the combination that fits well to your circumstances. Unlike the other swift build classes, Taijutsu Scrapper are quite capable on DPS performance. After the nerf of the Scrapper brought some overall DPS leak, but I think still it is okay to play with and okay to handle. Especially it is quite satisfying on rushing the skill circulation. Sound effects are quite satisfying too. Also, with the synergy from the identity, you can also find some decent stagger performance during the gameplay. Not to mention about the Scrapper counter is super easy to aim and shoot, And like I said at first, as the Taijutsu class engraving build are based on swiftness, you might find the fast and smooth control very easily. Well, if you don't like the fast and multi-hit class, I mean if you want to see great performance with some single skill shot, this class engraving might not that suitable for the gameplay. It can be a little disappointed if you want to see immediate huge numbers. Taijutsu Scrapper is more like a class that are actually suitable for the constant and stable DPS and skill circulations, so you need to be a little bit more busy to earn the MVP prize on the screen. I think there's not many things to concern for building the Taijutsu Scrappers. It is a class more like one of those pick it up and play class, so if you build it with the proper method, you might find the efficient performance during the gameplay. Personally, if you have more quick recharge and Gale Wind Rune on your roster, you can handle your Scrapper more easily. Core mechanic of the Taijutsu, well, actually there's not many things to comment about this one. Combo is more like a reference to managing your own Scrapper during the gameplay. So you need to use the synergy, and then pouring everything or actually the everything of the Taijutsu Scrapper. Composition of the skill can be summarized like this text box: 2 green, shock skill, and the 6 yellow, stamina skill. For more detailed explanation, green skill called Judgment is a synergy skill, and it is the only synergy skill that has push immune. Of course, you can use the other synergy skill on your skill composition, but as the round of sweep was changed to stamina skill, so you need to be more tight on your skill circulation if you decided to use the other synergy skill. Iron Cannon Blow, Battering Fist, Dragon Advent, and the last skill called Pongyarguan, Explosion Blow are main DPS stamina skills, which deserve some leveling. As the round of sweep skill changed stamina skills and got some buff on the damage and with some decent range, and one great thing of the round of sweep is that you can theoretically infinitely rush the round of sweep with no cooldown with the first tripod quick prep. And the Death Rattle is another main damaging skill on your shock. And with the interface enhancement after the update, you can easily know the fully charged Death Rattle. Or you can replace the Death Rattle with Supernova, Potent Rising Fist, or Shredding Strike. But compared to the Death Rattle, it has about less damage, 10 to 15%. However, the Shredding Strike has an almost similar DPS, but it has no quick prep tripod. So it might be hard to align the skill circulation during the gameplay. So conclusion, try to use the Death Rattle on your shock skill. Skill build can be summarized like this text box. Well, actually there's not many things to comment about skill build and composition of the Taijutsu. For the full efficient skill damaging circulation, you need to leveling the old tripod, except of the tripod on the Judgment and the Charging Blow. Awakening skill is an Undefeated Dragon King. Using the Undefeated Dragon King will recover the whole identity meters when you made an effective hit. So if you wish to rush the skill cycle on the short period of time, using the Undefeated Dragon King is quite recommended. I think the best advantage of the Taijutsu Scrapper is that it is easy to handle, and most of all, it has a quite decent DPS performance during the raid. More like the Taijutsu has a low risk but high return. But as I mentioned in the first, if you are dreaming some huge damage performance with some single skill, this class is not for you. Advantage of the Taijutsu class engraving is coming from the constant and stable damaging cycle, so you need to stay a little busy on the whole raid too. Not to mention you need to concern about the mechanic, but also you need to keep your skill circulation with very short cooldown. So you need to be more busy than the other classes, like based on specialization. Well, actually the skill combo is really a reference. But for the first timers who are considering to play the Scrapper on the LostArk, I'll show you the big structure with my skill circulations. Just like the other classes in the LostArk, Scrappers start with the Siege and use the 4 main skills and use the round of sweep during the small cooldown to prevent the DPS leak. And then when the cooldown got aligned, do the skill combo with the identity. As you can see with this video, Taijutsu skill combo is really a reference. You need to manage your skill circulation with your flexibility and your method. So try to remember the big structure of this video and then utilize to your own skill combo. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching everyone, and always, thanks for your big support. Hope this video was a little helped for your LostArk journey. Hope you do well with your Scrapper with this video. And of course, if you like my videos, hit the sub for more upcoming infos. I'll come back with more useful infos in the next video.